This week on the No More Late Fees podcast, Jackie and I are joined by toy enthusiast Matt of RetroToyEnvy. Before our episode drops later this week of the Toy Story, we wanted to give you guys a chance to get to know Matt with some fun games. Hi, Matt.
Why do you call it
Hey, what's up?
The Toy Story?
I don't know.
Sorry, I stepped on. You're welcome, but the Toy Story.
It's probably why I say the YouTube and the Facebook. I'm an old person inside.
Just like all of your notes had the Goofy movie, and I'm like, it's not the Goofy movie.
It's a Goofy movie. I know. I messed up. Give me a break, okay?
Thank you for wrapping the notes.
Right. Hi, Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome.
Well, first of all, we're so thankful that you are joining us. Your enthusiasm is just contagious. If you're ever having a bad day, anybody, you guys need to go and check out Matt's YouTube videos, his Instagram videos. They will turn your day around.
that means a lot. Thank you. I try to put my all in everything I do. So,
so why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, what your channel's about, so they get, it's probably better from the horse's mouth than me just going on.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Matt, better known as RetroToyEnvy, and I love toys. I am a toy collector and a toy hunter by heart, but I do love all things, collecting and reselling and flipping. So everybody knows my Instagram, which is all toys 24/7 on all the posts, but my, TikTok and my Facebook dives more into going to thrift stores and yard sales and flea markets and just seeing the treasures that are out there. And that's what gets me. It's the find. And even with toys, it's finding the old toy that either brings me back to when I was a kid or a toy that I never had and I've always wanted. And now that I'm an adult or I'm hunting for toys, I can grab that toy and, and cherish it. So as you see all this stuff behind me. So, so that's what my channel is about, and just enjoying the hunt and lots of positivity and fun and happiness, just like the movie that we're going to watch today or review today. It's just everything's about being happy. And that's kind of what I'm all about. So when I heard that this was a Toy Story thing, I'm like, oh, sign me up.
I know when I reached out, I was like, there's no way that he's going to say yes, but I'm glad that you did. And I was just
absolutely.
I know you and I were going back and forth trying to just figure out the perfect movie. And obviously Toy Story made the most sense. I wasn't sure if you wanted to go down that route or not, or if it was going to be
it's perfect. It literally was, I think, the perfect one that we do. So I'm glad that all the pieces fell into place, because I really am thinking that this is going to be a fun time. So
absolutely.
Well, before we get into the games, why don't you tell everybody how they can find you on social media and check out your videos?
Sweet. I am RetroToyEnvy across all platforms. As I said, my Instagram is all toys all the time. And then if you are into picking and thrifting and yard sailing, my TikTok and my Facebook has more of that thrifting and treasure hunting content. And it's just, like I said, I'm trying to teach as well. So if you're just starting to collect, or you're starting to resell, or you're just trying to make an extra buck, trying to help as many people as I can, make an extra dollar in this world we're living in. So definitely come say hi, drop a comment. I try to respond to everybody. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Really, when did you start doing this and why?
So
not in a bad way, but
no,
this is a very different journey.
Good question. I get it a lot. So I've always loved toys. I was from the generation where, Nintendo was already out and they were rolling out Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. And I was still that part where we go outside and play and, we get toys for Christmas and play until you were 10. Now think of a 10-year-old kid to play with a toy. Usually it's they're different kind of toys, either board games or now you get tablets and stuff like that. So I was always playing with toys, but obviously you lose that when you get into high school and college and stuff like that. But how I came back into full circle is, after college, I was trying to make some extra cash, and I went into my parents' attic and I found all my old toys. And this is a huge regret of mine as well. I ended up selling all my old toys and I made some good money with it. So I was upset that I sold them after the fact, but it also kind of sprung my reselling and my flipping and my going to yard sale kind of phase. So, which it's not a phase, I'm still doing it, but it got me to do that treasure hunting part. But then as I'm treasure hunting and doing yard sales, I'm finding all these toys that I already sold off. So now I'm starting to keep them and say, okay, now that I found this, I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to sell it. And then, 12 years later, or, this is my 10th anniversary for RetroToyEnvy. I have all this behind me and all these toys and knowledge now that I've been doing this. So, it's because I needed a little extra money, and I ended up finding the toys in my parents' attic.
Passion in your parents' attic.
Yeah. No, it kind of sprung back like a memory of like, oh my God, this was so fun. It sucks that I sold them. It is a regret. I tell people like, oh, don't sell your toys if you're going to regret it. But now that I have them back, it kind of, like I said, I think everything happened for a reason. And I found where I needed to be.
That's awesome.
I love to hear it. I think I was getting emotional about Toy Story because I was the only child, and my toys were my only friends for a very long time. And I have like Cabbage Patch dolls upstairs, and I have not given away my toys. My mom is begging me. She's like, okay, you have a house. I'm putting it in your attic because I can't. And I'm like, that's fine. We're just not going to get rid of my stuff. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever play with them again or have kids to play with them, but it's just like, I cannot get rid of them.
And I think that what you're saying, and we're going to talk more about it, I think that's the point of this movie and why everybody gravitated towards it. Because, some people will look at something and say it's just a toy, but something like you just said, you form a bond with this, this piece of plastic or this, stuffed animal. You form a bond with it, and it becomes more than just something you bought at a store. Usually someone's buying it for you, or, something happened in your life where you just form this attachment. And I think that's what resonated with everybody with this movie. And that's what resonates with all my people that follow me. A lot of my collectors, we're all doing it because, like you said, you have an attachment to this thing from your childhood, and it just brings you with all the stuff we hear in the news, and it just brings you back to that time where that stuff didn't matter. This stuff mattered. I think that really hit everybody.
100%. All right. Well, are you ready for a game of this or that?
Let's do. Oh, it's my favorite game.
Jackie's going to give you a bunch of toy movies or movies that were kind of based on toys in some way. If you don't know the movie, that's fine. And you're just going to guess which one or say which one is your fave.
Shoot, let's do it.
Excellent. Our first this or that is Toy Story or Small Soldiers.
So it's going to be Toy Story because Toy Story is awesome and I can rewatch it, all that. But I did like Small Soldiers when I got a little older, but it's not something I can just go back to and rewatch.
Yeah.
Toy Story, you can just rewatch all the time. So I'm going to have to go with Toy Story.
Excellent. What about the Spooky Dolls, Child's Play or Annabelle?
Chucky's really cool. I like the, realness of Annabelle and the story behind it. And I love that, created because it was real kind of thing. So I'm going to do Annabelle.
Nice.
Excellent.
Which I will not pick up a Raggedy Ann doll because of that movie. People say it all the time. Nope. I'm just going to keep it there on the rack. I don't need to buy them.
Jingle All the Way or Toy Story 4?
Now, I appreciate Jingle All the Way. It's a classic. I love Turbo Man. But Toy Story 4, I just liked a lot of the Toy Story movies, and I can just watch Pixar movies over and over again. Yeah. Jingle All the Way is a Christmas thing. So I'm going to go with Toy Story 4. Excellent.
What about Life Size or Indian in the Cupboard?
I know both of them. Tyra Banks for Life Size, right? Disney Channel.
Correct.
Yes.
If I had to pick, so I'm not attached to either of them, but if I had to pick, because I think I watched Life Size on the Disney Channel and that channel was the best growing up, I'll go with Life Size.
Excellent.
Yeah. Indian in the Cupboard's a little problematic, we now know. But
yes.
I feel like I watched it. I feel like I've seen it, but I remember more. You could buy the VHS with the little cupboard and the key. I really wanted that, but I don't remember a lot of the movie.
Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium or Big?
Big. Big is a cool concept.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of things that's like weird if you think about it, but I think it's a cool concept, cool toys in it. They have a lot of cool little toy cameos, and you can't beat the piano scene. So
no,
exactly.
And FAO Schwartz.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yes, R.I.P.
Ragdoll versus Doll Graveyard. I've never heard of either one.
They're on Tubi now. But they're
I don't know
spooky.
either of them. But I'm gonna go with Doll Graveyard because it just sounds badass. It
Right?
sounds really cool. I'll go with Doll
Gonna
Graveyard.
check it out.
I think
at
we need
least.
to do a live just watching one of these movies.
Oh,
I
yes.
bet you it's gonna be horribly bad, but good.
And our last one, Toy Story 2 versus Toy Story 3.
I'm going with Toy Story 2, and I always have to say why. Because I love the
Excellent.
origin of the toys. You find out, you find out what Woody is. You find out his roundup, all the other characters. You get introduced to pretty much everything to set up the past movie and all the present movies. So
Yeah.
I think that is a movie that needs to be there. You can't take it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have a question for all of us. And originally I had what was your absolute favorite toy growing up and why, but I think I'm going to say top 5 because I think for the 3 of us, it's going to be very difficult to say you're like one. So whoever's ready, let me know.
Top 5.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go first. Set us
All
up.
right.
Yeah.
All right. At number 5 is my Teddy Ruxpin. My parents
Oh, yes.
waited in line in the cold to get that for me. And if you're an 80s kid, that's every kid wanted it. The problem was if the mouth moves, Danielle thought Teddy was hungry and Teddy needed to eat. So Danielle did not know that the technology had caught up yet. Like Baby Alive wasn't there yet. So I ruined my Teddy Ruxpin. My parents were pissed, but I was like 5. Y'all should have been watching me.
So Heather as well ruined her Teddy Ruxpin, but in a different way. Heather's my little sister. She had a habit when she was little of throwing things over the balcony to the first story. So over Teddy went, and then he only had one eye. His eyeball popped out.
All I remember is I was trying to feed him and it went, and then number 4 on my list is my glowworm, my green glowworm. And number 3 on my list is my Steve Urkel doll. There's a story behind that, but
Pull string? Is it a pull string?
it's a pull string. I have
Yes.
them upstairs. And number 4 is okay. I feel like it's a tie between my Cabbage Patch and my MC Hammer doll. Cabbage Patch, because my dad took us to Toys R Us and he said, you guys can get whatever you want.
Oh, wow.
This dumb bitch right here should have went and got a Nintendo. Like, hello, but I didn't. I went and got a Cabbage Patch doll and it was like a newborn and that's all. And my dad's like, this is why daddy loves you the best, because you're cheap. I didn't know. My mom was so mad at me when I came home and I told her that I had picked out a freaking whatever. And my MC Hammer doll, that's all I wanted. And my grandma had bought me the Steve Urkel doll. It was my last gift. I hate that parents do this. They give you a gift and you think this is your last gift. And I had a tantrum. I was a real asshole. I threw my Steve Urkel doll across the room because it wasn't MC Hammer. And my mom said I embarrassed her so bad. And then she pulled out the MC Hammer doll. But I feel like maybe you should have not played these games.
Is it like a Barbie doll version and it's MC Hammer? I think I've seen. That's cool. That's really cool.
He was the lover for all of my Barbies. And lastly, I have again a split tie between my Shawnee doll, which was the black, is like a line of black Barbies, but they weren't made by Mattel. And they had the most Afrocentric 90s gold inspired outfits ever with reversible jackets. I love it. And then my other half is my Baby Alive, which
oh man,
loved.
That was a huge one that everybody wanted, Baby Alive.
Oh man, my cousins were pissed when they came to my house and I had one and I wouldn't let them play with it. Yeah, I got in trouble.
Good list. That's a good list.
Thank you. You guys ready?
I've been thinking, but I feel like I need to write mine down so I can rank them.
How about you, Matt? You ready?
That's what I did. I was writing them down. So let's see in order. So I'm going to say 5, Number 5, I'll go with just RC cars in general. When I could get one, I know I would always rip it apart. And I just like taking them apart. And like, I think one time I bought like a fake swan and I put like a swan, it's like one of the like decoy swans. I put it like over it to pretend it was like a swan. That it was weird. But I just loved like making them into something that they weren't. So I liked RC cars. 4, I'm going to go with I'll go with Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
I was an early Ninja Turtle kid, so I had all like the original ones, and I had a Ninja Turtle at my birthday party, which I hated, but I love Ninja Turtles, but I was crying. I had the home video was awful. I just love Turtles, everything Turtles. 3, I would say my Nintendo 64. I got that when I was a little bit older, but I just remember when I got it, GoldenEye and Star Fox I was always playing it, and video games were so new still.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my God, I could play this all day. So Nintendo 64, 5, 4, 3, 2, I'll say Power Rangers, because that was the stuff that I sold off. When I sold all my toys, Power Rangers were like the stuff that I sold off. And I remember just like, I can still like see obviously your imagination's different when you're older, but I can still like picture what was in my head when I was playing with them. Like I would literally just block out everything and I would be in my own world playing with these, and it would just like I could go for hours. And my mom would say like, "Oh, I'd come find you," and you'd be like 3 hours later, and you're still playing with the same toy. It's just I got lost in them. So Power Rangers is 2, and then my number 1 favorite toy, and there's a big story behind it. I did a lot of social media videos on all my platforms about it. Was the movie Hook with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sword. I have it here. I finally found it. It's just a plastic sword with a bell in it. And my parents said I used to like ring it all the time. It was just annoying because it makes like a really annoying ring sound.
Yeah.
And I loved that movie as well. And we went on a Disney trip. I don't know this. Every time I ask my parents, the story changes. But long story short, I got it taken away at the airport, and they didn't give it back. I was young, so my parents tried to get it back, but I got it taken away, and it stuck with me my whole life that I got that sword taken away.
Aww.
So as I was doing this whole toy hunting now, I've been trying to look for that sword. And I want to say, I don't remember when the video was. I want to say last year, like after COVID happened, I was at a thrift store, and me and my friend that goes with me, we've been trying to find this forever. And I saw it sitting on the shelf, and it was just like, almost like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Like I finally found it. I grabbed it. I did a video. I did a whole bunch of videos on it. That's how important it was to me. So I would say my Hook sword from the Robin Williams version of like the Peter Pan is the number 1 like toy that was like my favorite, and it stuck with me into my adulthood, that I needed it that bad to keep looking for it.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. What about you, Jackie?
Okay, coming in at number 5, I had the Barbie with the rollerblades that were recalled because they were like essentially
they were starting
lighters.
fires. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember those.
I loved her. And like, actually, I don't think my mom ever turned in the real rollerblades, so I'm pretty sure I have them somewhere. But you could get replacement rollerblades, which were stamps instead. And so I definitely have the stamps because I saw them recently at her house.
Now,
number 4, I had the She-Ra Crystal Palace and like all the She-Ra like figurines. And it like, I spent all my birthday money on it when I was like 6. And I remember it was $25 and right.
Yeah.
And it had an elevator that like you could pull a cord and it would go up and down and stuff. I loved it. But then my mom gave it to my grandma, and then my cousins all ruined it. So.
It's always the cousins.
Always.
I'll tell you my memory after you're done.
Did you unlock a memory? Number 3, I had the Kirsten American doll. Immediately took her hair out of the braids and ruined it because it never goes back the same. But I loved her, and she was the pioneer one, and her set of books were super interesting to me because like it explained how she like had to live and like farm and all of that stuff. So she was number 3. Number 2, anything My Little Pony.
Hell yeah.
Obsessed. We had like the little corral that like you could put them all in, and they came with stickers with their names that you could put on. We had the little stage from the movie, My Little Pony, the movie. And it had like a little spinny thing so you could put a pony like in the middle and spin them around. And then apparently growing up, my mom somehow got it into her head that my sister loved Barbies and I loved My Little Ponies. So forever, I always got all the My Little Ponies, including, my sister says, the skinny pretty ponies that they came out with.
Oh yeah.
And she got all these Barbies. Apparently she hated Barbies and all she wanted in life was her very own My Little Pony that she didn't have to share. And so it wasn't until she was like in college, I went on eBay and I found a skinny pony and I bought it for her birthday.
I remember
And she
that.
still has it to this day. Like it's one of her prized possessions, her very own pony. But we used to play My Little Pony all the time. And then number 1 is a tie. It's just a generic polar bear.
Oh,
What's his name, Danielle?
I don't remember.
Danielle. His name is.
I know what he looks like. I know I've held him. He's comforted me over the years. I don't know why I don't remember right now. And I'm going to feel bad when I hear the name.
Especially because his name is Polly, because I didn't stretch very far to name him.
Very original.
Right? And I've had him since I was 5. And I very distinctly remember my mom had a garbage bag full of all of my stuffed animals she was getting rid of. And she's like, you can pull one out to keep. And he was the one I pulled out. And he's like been my bear ever since. Everywhere I travel, I sleep with him every night. Like even still, like he's my buddy.
He's gone through some things.
You got that attachment.
He has.
That's awesome.
He has gone through some things. And then what he's tied with is my NES because video games were a huge part and still continue to be a huge part of my life. So
that's awesome.
I love my NES.
It's funny because the way when you guys are saying your list, it's like you guys would love coming along with me on my hunts because
I see
all
yes.
that stuff. A regular person probably wouldn't understand half of the stuff you guys are saying, skinny ponies and stuff like this.
Yeah.
I see it all. I see everything. I have it in my head like, oh yeah, I know that. Oh yeah, I know that.
Well, all right. Well, if you guys loved what you heard here, you definitely have to check out Matt's social handles. Give it to them one more time.
RetroToyEnvy across all the platforms.
And as usual, you can come check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at No More Late Fees. And stay tuned for our episode of Toy Story later this week with Matt.
And as always, be kind and rewind.